Hi guys, it's Andy from NismoTechUK. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing and overview on behalf of Scan Computers UK. This is the NZXT Source 220. Okay, just before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you to Scan for sending this through to us for the unboxing and overview. This is a exclusive version of the Source 220 for Scan, in the fact that it has got a window on the actual side panel, and in addition to that there are a couple of changes to the fan configuration on the inside of the actual case itself. But apart from that, as you can see an image of the actual case on the front, NZXT logo down at the bottom, obviously it's their classic mid-tower chassis range. Moving on to this side of the box, we have got its specification. So the specification is 3 5¼ inch bays up at the top, 8 internal 3.5 inch and 7 PCI expansion slots. You are able to fit 2 120mm fans at the front, 1 120 or 140 fan at the side, 2 120 or 140mm fans up at the top, and the standard version includes a 140mm included. At the rear you have got a 120mm fan which is included, and you're also able to fit a 120 at the bottom as well. In terms of clearance and support, we have got room for 230mm worth of graphics card with the hard drive cage in the full position, and removing that you have got then 330mm of clearance. CPU heatsink 160mm in height and a total of 20mm of space behind the motherboard tray. Case itself comes in at 195mm in width, 440mm in height and 495.5mm in depth. Mainly made from steel and plastic, and weighs when empty 6.5 kilograms. Motherboard support, we have got ATX, Mini ITX, Micro ATX, Flex ATX and Mini ITX. And we have got your standard audio, a USB 3.0 and a USB 2.0 on the I/O panel. Moving around to this side of the actual box itself, obviously we've just got a couple of the key features, specifications, etc. But I think it's now time to have a look at the case. So we're going to start our tour of the Source 220 by looking at the front of the actual case itself. We've got 3 5¼ inch bays up at the top, along with a power button and a nice size reset button here, which is good to see. We've got the NZXT logo embossed down at the bottom, a nice shiny plastic bezel around the outside just to give it a little bit of distinctive look. Headphone, microphone, USB 2, USB 3 at the top as well. Now, as I mentioned, this is an exclusive version of the actual case itself, and apart from the side window, what they have also got for Scan is a blue 120mm fan on the inside. That actually replaces the 140 that is normally found in the roof. So exclusive version, the fact that you do get a blue LED fan at the front. You've also got one in the rear, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. Unfortunately at the front, this is a sort of value orientated case. I must make that clear right from the start. We haven't got any sort of form of fan filtration, unfortunately, no foam or anything like that to stop dust getting in from the inside, which would have been quite nice to actually see. Apart from that, obviously you've got a hole here for feeding through to the actual panels, the actual panel switches and lights up at the top, and the front of the case comes off pretty damn easily. Okay, so this is probably the main feature about the exclusive version of the Source 220, is the fact that we've got a very nice size side panel window on this particular version. Obviously the standard one comes with just a plain panel, but the fact that you have got a windowed version here is quite nice to see. Even though it has got a window panel, there's not sort of too much flexibility in there. It's still quite strong, quite rigid, which is good to see. And obviously we'll now come along and have a look at the interior. So moving on to the interior of the actual case itself. Up at the top we have got toolless operation with regards to the 5¼ inch bays. Essentially just give that a quick pull, push your CD drive in, lock it into place, which is really good to see. On the side here, orientated this way, we've got 8 hard drive bays. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any real support for SSDs in this particular case, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest. However, we have got toolless operation here, which is very, very nice to see. Again, just push your hard drive into place, and once it's in there, you then lock that like so, and your hard drives are then secure from that side. And also you've got the option to screw them in from the other side as well. So taking a look at the cables from the front I/O, they are all black cables with black connectors, which is really good to see, especially in such a value orientated case. Got your power switches, your LEDs as usual, USB 3.0 header, USB 2.0 header, and also your HD audio. In addition to that, the cables that run from the NZXT blue LED fans are either a 3-pin connection or a Molex pass-through, and that's the same for both fans. And the fact that they've got black cables and black connectors, again, is really good considering the price of the case. Looking down at the bottom, you can see our area here for the actual power supply itself. These are raised up on these sort of steel rings here, which are obviously going to raise it across up above from the actual floor of the case. Also, we've got quite a bit of ventilation down here. Although it's not actually fan filtered, there are what looks to be grooves in order to enable you to actually install a fan filter down there if you wish. And also on this side, you've got room for that 120mm fan if you did wish to install one down there. Looking up towards the rear of the case, again, you can get a closer look of this pre-installed 120mm blue LED fan. Again, obviously that's part of the exclusiveness. There is just a standard NZXT fan down here on the standard version, but with this one we do have a blue LED, which is again a really nice feature. Looking at the top of the case, you can see we have got mounts here for 120 or 140mm fans. In the standard version, you do get a 140 included in the actual case itself. Apart from that, you're not really going to have any room at all for water cooling, unfortunately, up at the top of the case. As you can see, we are sort of quite limited for space on the inside. Okay, so moving on to the back of the case, you can see the pre-installed 120mm NZXT blue LED fan behind the actual fan grille here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vented PCI slots, your I/O shield, bit of ventilation down here, and also your bottom mounted PSU. The other thing to note is that the side panels do come with handles and are also held in by thumb screws, which again is very good. Okay, so looking behind the motherboard tray, you can see that we've got quite a nice size opening here for the CPU backplate, which is quite nice to see. It makes it a lot easier to actually change your CPU cooler if you do need to do that. Cable management is really good actually at the back. Also, we've got the 20mm of clearance down here, which should be reasonably quite good with regards to your 24-pin cable. We've also got quite a number of tie-down points on the actual back of the tray as well, which is really good to see. It makes it easier to actually hide the cables. And also we've got these rolled 3 openings on there to pass cables through, as well as this sort of quite large area here, which is obviously where more likely you're going to probably run a couple of SATA cables from the drives out here and then obviously through the actual hole. And obviously there you can actually see the cable coming from the front of the actual case on the fan. Okay, so looking at the accessories that come with the Source 220, we've got a bag here full of screws, and also it also contains some zip cords in there as well. And you've also got these 2 holes here that you can also punch out through the back to install water cooling tubes if you do wish to do that, or just to make it look good. In addition to that, you've also got warranty information from NZXT and also your manual, which is going to tell you where everything goes, how to install things, and what is obviously capable with the actual case. Okay, so I've now got the power supply connected up to the case, just so that we can actually have a look at the blue LED fans that are actually part of the exclusive version on the actual case. So what I'm going to do is just turn the lights down, and even though it's not completely pitch black, you get quite a good indication as to how powerful the actual LEDs are on the actual fan itself. Personally, what I'd probably look to do is bring the actual one from the back, stick it down at the front just to make it look really cool, and then obviously put one, get another fan to either put at the back, or you could possibly install a 120 all-in-one at the back. Okay, so now on to my personal thoughts about the NZXT Source 220. Now, as I've already mentioned, this is an exclusive version of the Source 220 for Scan Computers UK, and with that exclusiveness you obviously get the side window and 2 120mm blue LEDs. And the actual case itself, the exclusive version, is actually cheaper at the moment than the original version. So in order to get that side window and a couple of blue LEDs, does make this case extremely good value for money. Talking of money, obviously it is a value orientated case if you're a gamer on a budget or looking to build your first personal rig or something of that nature, and you're looking for a case when you don't really have enough pennies to sort of go up to the bigger size cases, then this is actually quite a good option for you. And the reason why I say that is the NZXT cases are always fantastic value for money and extremely good build quality. And the Source 220, despite it being an entry-level case, is actually built very, very well indeed. The front of the case looks actually quite stylish. I quite like the larger mesh area, especially with the blue LED behind the front panel. The only thing I would say is that I would have liked to have seen a fan filter being installed to the front of the actual case, just to obviously help stop any dust particles getting inside. The fact that NZXT used black cables with black connectors gets a real big thumbs up from myself. It's something that I think every case should have. And I'm also not going to mark them down for not installing rubber grommets, because the cutouts that are on the actual case are actually rolled really well, so I wasn't scared of cutting my finger or catching any cables on there. And obviously with the price of the case, I wasn't expecting rubber grommets on there. The rear and the top section of the case, really good. The fact that you can install obviously in the roof 120s or 140s, I quite like that fact. Obviously you've got no room at all up at the top for water cooling. The only area you might be able to fit something is obviously on the back of the case, where you've got that blue LED fan, in which case you probably want to move that to the front of the case. The only other thing that the case is lacking is obviously room for SSDs, and I think that potentially could be a bit of a deal breaker, because a lot of people now have got SSDs there, or they're looking to obviously buy a case which has obviously got support for SSDs, and it's kind of like the standard now. So the Source 220 is kind of let down by the fact that it's going to be a little bit trickier to actually install an SSD into this case. One thing I would suggest with the Source 220 is that it would make a pretty damn good file server, with the amount of hard drive room that you have available to you, and also the airflow with the 2 intake fans and the 2 exhaust fans means that you've got a lot of storage capability and also good airflow to cool everything down. So to sum the NZXT Source 220 up, it's got really good build quality, it's got some really nice features, but it's also lacking a couple that are potentially deal breakers. But at the same time, at £35, which is what the price is on the case at the moment, it's pretty damn good value for money. So we hope you liked the unboxing and overview of the NZXT Source 220 Scan Exclusive Edition. Thank you very much to NZXT and Scan for sending this out to us for the unboxing and overview, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. We hoped you liked our video review. If you did, then please leave a like, as well as any comments or questions you may have down below. Full details and specifications on this item can be found at our website, NismoTech.com, along with all the links for purchasing if you wish. Also on our site you'll find our latest reviews and current giveaways, plus a lot more. We look forward to seeing you in our next review.